Okay, so this is Dustborn's Claim / Parker Luck, 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, great that it triggers on the turn you play it. Each player reveals the top card of their library, and each player loses life equal to the mana value that their opponent revealed. So the idea is that you're trying to manipulate this with Witch's Cottage by putting Troll of Khazad-dm, Archon of Cruelty, and or Shadow of Mortality on the top of your library to trigger this over the course of a couple turns to kill your opponent. You know what? I might I'm actually going to play the 4th Cottage over the 3rd Blood Crypt. Not sure about that. But Witch's Cottage puts a creature on top of your library. One thing I really like about this deck is you can go Witch's Cottage your Troll, put Troll on top, then back into your hand. The next turn you can cycle it again, put it back on top, and then just deal another 6 damage. Shadow of Mortality is 15 damage, which is a lot, especially in your Lightning Bolt deck and the Fetch Shock format. Can just kill your opponent immediately. You've got Calibrated Blast for some redundancy. I'm thinking that this is the better of the 2 cards because it just triggers every turn, and so it's just going to be a little bit faster. That's my thinking, my hope. It's also the new card, so I think it's just better to play as a 4-Rev first. Calibrated Blast being an instant is definitely nice. Better against counter magic with the flashback, and also discard the looting for some value. I think it also makes a lot of sense to be playing looting Persist in the shell to assemble your combo, and you really want Shadow of Mortality in your graveyard anyways to Witch's Cottage to the top. So like this is a good card to discard for value. Archon has high mana value for your blast turns. It gives you like 2 solid angles of attack, and we're playing Bitter Reunion here also as our main secondary looter, so that you can discard Archon and then haste plus Persist on turn 3 for really big damage. Doing a 4-3-2 split with Faithless Looting and Seasoned Pyromancer here. Really excited for this one. I think this list looks I don't know. I've just been stoked for this. I think this is like a big update to an older brew that we did well with. Played a lot of Calibrated Blast builds over the years. It's felt like an archetype that's been kind of powered leveled out due to MH3, but like looting and Parker Luck seem like 2 just huge upgrades. We have one in our opening hand, as well as 3 Faithless Lootings to go with our Persist, but no Archon of Cruelty or anything. The more I think about it, the more I like Dreams of Steel over Inquisition. I am liking Inquisition because it hits Persist and Goryo's. That was kind of my tiebreaker, but we're always going to have that kind of these same the same kind of discrepancies on these. I think we should Thoughtseize here. A little bit worried that we're playing against Amulet, which we are. My opponent has what seems to be a pretty deterministic kill through this Thoughtseize, where they are going to be able to go on turn 3, get an Amulet, copy the Amulet with Gardens, Lotus Field out a Primeval Titan. I can take 1 Titan, but they just have a 2nd, and that's going to be pretty deterministic. What a fun deck. I think we need to take it and then hope to draw a 2nd Thoughtseize. I don't think we really have a different line here. Yeah, Glass Cannon deck. Do they need 4 lands for Scape Shift? They do, but double Amulet plus Titan is deterministic, I believe. Maybe we're wrong about that. We do get, now that we drew this land, we do get a few more looks at another Thoughtseize. I think I might as well. It's in a little bit. Maybe this is putting me dead to... I guess they don't double strike. Maybe I'm not dead. I thought it was deterministic, but maybe I'm not dead to the double Titan attack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. All right, let's keep going. we know their hand. I got 2 new cards too. Alright, so we're going to bring in the Ashioks and the Charmaws. I don't know if I'm bringing in the full 4 Charmaws. Might just be playing 3. I think I'll keep it. I think I'll play all 4. Trim the 6 Blast. They might slip up though. Yeah, it's just like we got a new set, we got new brews. I think instead of like our opponents, even if they slip up, they're still gonna have a bunch of Primeval Titans in play at the very least. I think it's fine. Just keep it moving here. I want to say I listened to you, took all the interaction of Grixis Cauldron, I comboed off in turn 3 2 games for 4-1. Yeah, it's just not a deck that needs removal spell, so glad you're moving in that direction. They could have drawn noticeable turn and you'd think you'd have been live. Yeah, but even if we're alive, like, we're not really in winning position unless we... Maybe if we can Archon them, but... Yeah, the streamer's disadvantage of watching Titan play with themselves for 10 minutes is bad content. For sure. I do think, like, I feel like the last, like, several times I've Thoughtseize a Titan player, I've just been dead that turn 3 with, like, not really anything I could have done. Although this hand is all to play with Thoughtseize into probably a turn 3 Ashiok. That's good. Okay, we'll take the amulet. Be a bad time for a Thoughtseize bug. Right, bad news. I don't have the third land untapped for the Ashiok next turn. So this is one of the new cards here. Only play 2 Blood Crypt? Yeah. We also have 3 Raucous Theaters. We have 12. I think the fetch lands just like should be fine. I did change. I cut the 3rd Blood Crypt for the 4th, which is Cottage just last second. To change the Mox field. Okay, well. Can Ashiok our opponent next turn. Hopefully the Thoughtseize will have slowed them down enough. Mox Field is showing the Spider-Man cards instead of Moto version. If you import a list of Spider-Man cards and a card hoarder mana traders, does it automatically swap? I don't know if it does for card hoarder mana traders. I know it's very annoying. There's really like not a non-annoying way to do this because I think most players are familiar with the Spider-Man cards compared to the Magic Online ones. What a disaster what a disaster all this was, I think, is my attitude here. All right, we'll take the card that does anything against the Ashiok. I guess maybe the 3rd Blood Crypt is important for Shadow, so you can be bolting yourself. They do get to activate the Urza's Cave. They might get Odawara here. They get Bajuka Bog, which is pretty good. So I'm going to go to an Ashiok myself. I mill Witch's Cottage. Still have 3 in the deck. Yeah, Wind Path is for Moto and Arena, yeah. My mill is Seasoned Pyromancer and Cottage 1 to the top. No, we do mill 2 of our Persist. Let's go ahead and cast a Thoughtseize. Interesting they didn't Mystical Dispute that. Interesting that they boarded in 3 mana leak against me. Okay, great. So we can deal them 15 damage next turn. Although, is it... I guess it's better for me to put a Troll on top, so then that way I could go 6 into... I can go 6 damage into 15 damage. But they just concede to the Ashiok, and we go to game 3. So on the draw, I think I might want some Meltdowns. I think Meltdown is mostly better than Inquisition, because Inquisition can't really snipe the amulets on the draw. Let me cut the 2nd Spyro for 2nd Meltdown. Was there any considerations for Cast the Shadow? There were some, but I think it's just better to keep churning. That was my attitude. Okay, hard to mulligan, turn 2 Thoughtseize, turn 3 Ashiok with maybe some Charmaw potential on the draw against a mulligan. They do set redemption for Universe Beyond a Magic Online. If so, you can get real Omen Path cards. That'd be funny. I don't think there are set redemptions. Yeah, I guess disputes do hit Ashiok. That's actually a great call. Didn't really realize that. Makes sense. Would be happy to see the Open Path versions of older University on sets like Lord of the Rings or Warhammer 40k. I don't know. For me, it's I'm not a fan of this whole Open Path situation. If you like it, I'm happy for you though. Ooh, an Ice Till Explorer. Should I take that? Seems like that seems correct. There's been a lot of negativity about the Spider-Man set. I don't think scary top deck. Well, not the end of the world here. There's been a lot of negativity about the Spider-Man set. And while I do have a good amount of criticisms for it, I do think it wasn't executed super well. Part of me does wonder a little bit like, so I exited out of the I didn't think they'd play the Simic Growth Chamber. I thought for sure they would play the other one. I guess we just play the Cottage tapped and we get a Blood Crypt end of turn. Anyways, a lot of negativity about the set, obviously. I understand. I do feel like a lot of the negativity does come from the fact that the digital versions just are not the Spider-Man versions. At least for me, I'm not a huge fan of that fact, and I do just kind of wonder these days, like what percentage of players primarily engage with the game digitally versus in paper. And I don't feel like sampling you guys is going to be a particularly good poll if we were to do a poll just of y'all, since you're watching the digital game. I'm sure I know a lot of y'all don't play Modern at all, but I do just wonder. So we mill a Faithless Looting. So next turn they can cast a Titan because they have the Crumbling Vestige. So let's just see if we mill over an Archon of Cruelty. No, we do mill over 2 Persist though. I guess we should. Let's see what my top card is. I might even Calibrated Blast. No. Just flash back the looting. Their Bitter Reunion's pretty nice. This set feels like a set converted from something like Assassin's Creed to a standard set, and the warps are noticeable. Yeah, possibly. It's possible that they wanted this to be Modern Horizons 4, and when they realized what a failure Modern Horizons 3 was, they pivoted course. It's not very easy to like, just speculate, do anything more than speculate on that, of course. All right, so we'll see if they conceded this. Right. Thank you, Ashiok. The quality of a product, in my opinion, should like mostly, if not entirely, be dictated on how well designed it was and how how much soul and heart and passion was put into it and how well crafted it was. And I think MH3 was objectively the worst designed Modern Horizons set, the least balanced, the highest quantity of broken cards. It involved the worst gameplay. And if it made a lot of money, that doesn't change that fact, I also say that my experience with Modern Horizons 2 versus 3 was that in Modern Horizons 2, a lot of players were playing the format and complaining the whole time, and in Modern Horizons 3 they just left because it was boring. Whatever that's worth. Sure, but if we're talking about how WotC sees a failure, it's the money making that matters. But why would we look it through at that lens? Like, if we're talking about how WotC sees it, why do we care how Wizards of the Coast sees it? We're not Wizards of the Coast, Why do we have to do their corporate jargon for them and be like, well, it made a lot of money, We don't have to. It's awesome that we don't have to. You said WotC pivoted after MH3 was a failure. Yeah, and they might. That's true, but could beyond just making a lot of money though, beyond just they can make a lot of money, like I do think that like Wizards is capable of putting their finger on the pulse and seeing that people are generally not interested in more Modern Horizons, and seeing that and thinking a fourth one wouldn't sell very well, right? But you're right, I did say that, so maybe my whole point didn't make any sense. Calibrated Blast, do people stop packing for consign? So now you have Parker's Luck, which just triggers every single turn. And so they can consign one trigger, but then you just keep going. So if we can draw a Calibrated Blast or a Parker's Luck, although we did get one Parker's Luck Thoughtseized already, we can just set up for 15 damage on turn 4. Why do they do Modern Masters but not Pioneer Masters or Legacy Masters? I don't know. They do, so it's, Masters is different from Horizons. Masters is just like reprint sets, which they don't do anymore. But they do Legacy Horizons every Commander set. Every Commander set was basically Legacy Horizons, for whatever that's worth. All right, so it seems like they have an all reactive hand. Maybe they have a Felia here, and tapping out a Bolt or Felia could be a little bit bad. I don't think we're going to hardcast a Shadow. Just discard it. The last Master set was over 5 years ago. It was, I think, like over 8 years ago, probably. Real point is, I see it as a monetary point. Might be true, but let's not waste time discussing it here. Hard agree with what you brew. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, my main point, yeah, exactly. It's just like we don't need to. That was my main point, is that this just keeps being the dialogue tree, and I'm going a little crazy with it, but I do think I didn't articulate myself very well, as you do sometimes as a streamer. Okay, well, we're getting pretty flooded, but my opponent's not doing much of anything, so this seems to be okay. A little bit worried that they're just going to Gorios me all out of nowhere. So they have 6 spells in their hand, but seemingly none of them are proactive. Very weird. Yeah, I think I want a Bitter Reunion instead of looting, so I could draw a Blast or a Parker's Luck and try to set up for it. All right, so we'll take the Gristlebrand, so we could just do something nice for our opponent. Just kidding, of course. Yeah, it does seem like if my intention is to top deck one of my 5 Parker's Lucks / Calibrated Blast for the win, we should set up for that by taking their Force of Negations, right? Also a bit better if we draw Persist. I'm going to save the Cottage so we can draw one of our 6 outs here. They draw their 5th land, so they do have Hardcast Solitude available. We'll just keep that a note of that. Maybe we should be playing more than 6. I don't know. I think this is probably just kind of a weird sample, if I'm going to be honest. We did draw one and it got Thoughtseized. We're just like not seeing any more. Seeing any Persist or a Parker's Luck after all these cards is a little weird. What's Parker's Luck? It's the Omen Path versus Duskmourn's claim. Okay, they surveilled and attracts into the yard, so now a Gorios or an Emperor of Bones is a live top deck for them. Okay, we found one. So if they Atraxa me, they're going to go to 20. So if I keep both bolts, I can beat the Atraxa. I guess we just discard the Cottage, and then we can go like Bolt end of turn into Cottage, Cottage, Thoughtseize, Bolt, Duskmourn Claim. So it doesn't seem like there's much reason to Bolt, because if this works, they're just going to die. Very odd game. All right, this is the only card that has any text here, but it doesn't have enough text to stop me. I put Shadow of Mortality on the top of my library. A good Parker makes their own luck. We got some time to workshop that joke, I guess. That's true, we had Bolt for Emperor, although they could double activate, so they'd have at least a 4/4. We just do it before the exile resolves. Okay, I have to choose 2 target players. I'll choose both of us. And they're done. But they revealed the Solitude. I took 5 there. Okay, up again. So I'm going to bring in some Nihil Spellbombs. I think just Overbolts. Frog looking a little scary. Have one push. And the discard spells. And the Archons. What just happened? I put a 15 mana value Shadow of Mortality on the top of my deck. I cast a Parker Lock and I dealt them 15. That's much better than I thought it was. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it's just recurring Calibrated Blast. That triggers the turn you play it too. Yeah, that's true. We can draw games with this deck. I imagine that's going to happen some amount of the time. The Troll is really cool too because you just get to go Troll, put the Troll back in your hand, get another Witch's Cottage, and then hit them for 6 the following turn. Have to Thoughtseize turn 1 because of Frog. Guess we're glad they didn't force a negation. Toothless Gator with the 2 months. Welcome back. We want Carnage. We might play Carnage next. We're going to get to all of them. I tend to not like to go so long on set release day as much as I would like to. Just because it starts so late. They just, you know, they're Pacific time, I'm Central time, so they don't go until noon, and I try not to get my whole schedule all out of whack. Ooh, great. So we can Thoughtseize the Force this turn and set up to Persist next turn. Although maybe they'll go Indulgence looking for Gorios, then force my Thoughtseize if they find the Gorios. Will you play again with Sultai Necrogrowth? Maybe. I mean, I'm always open to playing, returning to old ideas. In fact, a lot of what we do is we build a deck like Sultai Necrogrowth. We do our best to kind of maximize the idea of that deck, which I feel like we got pretty close to, if not like basically all the way to maximizing that idea. We get as close as we can to maximizing it, and then they drew a Force. They drew a Mending. Okay, we get as close as we can to maximizing the idea. And then when we have new ideas or new cards get printed or the format changes, we go back to continue pressing the ideas in all directions. So nothing is ever off the table, but it just kind of depends on what we come up with. Okay, they force pitch Mending. They discarded a Swamp and an Ephemerate, so it seems like that last card is still an unknown. Thoughts on Noxious Revival? Well, what's nice about our deck is we have 16 Noxious Revivals that don't cost you a card in your hand. They keep a card on top. Don't Gorios me. Don't do it. Damn it. Dude, hitting Force into Gorios is tough. Looks like they did not hit another Ephemerate. They discarded the Ephemerate we saw in their hand to the Mending. There is one unknown card in their hand, though. So they put Force of Negation, Marsh Flats, Quantum Riddler, and Thoughtseize into their hand. So they might be Thoughtseizing me with Force of Negation up. Now, me being down to 5 life after I fetch means that this Duskmourn's Claim might kill me. Instead, they play a Psychic Frog. So they do have Force of Negation up. So we're looking for Thoughtseize Persist, mostly. Alright, let's go to game 3. On the play. They did attack. They attacked with the attract, so it just has Vigilance. Yeah, on the play. Well, let's keep our 7. What's nice about being on the play is that we don't need to Thoughtseize the Frog until turn 2. We can just Surveil, then go Thoughtseize plus Looting. Is the Sorcery Speed Graveyard Hate better than Bolt? No, Ashiok is not really good against them, in my opinion. We do need another land if we wanted this Calibrated Blast to be good. I guess we're maybe weak to Thoughtseize on Thoughtseize. They did keep 7. They do Thoughtseize my Thoughtseize. So we'll start with the Looting this turn. Card 1, 2. I think I'm down too many cards if I cast this extra Looting. Like, I need all of these to flashback the Calibrated Blast. Like if my opponent goes Fetch, Shock into Frog, we just have them dead to the Blast on turn 4 maybe. Although not against this Nihil Spellbomb. Can try to do some careful maneuvering against that, I guess. One thing that's always fun about this archetype is you can just YOLO the Calibrated Blast sometimes. Solar System, 13 months, welcome back. So one thing we can do, so it kind of depends on when / if they sack the Spellbomb, but one thing we can do is we can play a Bloodstained. Okay, they are doing it. Okay, so we do get the YOLO 15 damage, or maybe use our third Surveil to find the Shadow. But I was thinking we could play the Mire to leave up the Cottage activation, and then the following turn go Cottage the Shadow, and then if they respawn with the Spellbomb, then you fetch another Cottage. They discarded an Atraxa. Might be a YOLO Blast kind of game. $15 damage. I reveal the Shadow of Mortality. My opponent said that was random, 100%. Well, more like 8%. Image 2, best set of all time. I do feel like I recognize my opponent's username maybe as being a little salty. Let's keep a turn 2 Archon. This is the closest thing to Tibble's Trick for Spike. He wanted to take it to a challenge list. I don't know, I might. Don't reverse psychology me. Spike would never brew around my pet deck. I think I discard a Cottage here. How many times do we cast Sparkler Luck? We killed one person with it, and we just killed one with Calibrated Blast. Our first match was against Titan, where we just won with Ashiok in games 2 and 3. Am I so lucky to have 2 Titan opponents in the same league? Looks like I'm not that lucky. They play a Mox Opal, but they don't have Rebuke up, so I think I'm just gonna jam. Nice. Hooray. Alright. So we don't know what flavor of affinity they are, but I think we should probably bring these Meltdowns in. Like, not knowing if they're... I think we'll just cut this unless we see Imri Tamio. I don't think I care that much about, like, Charmaw on the draw, especially. Maybe on the play, a couple copies are fine. I'm going to cut the Inquisition and Bolt number 4, maybe? Maybe cut a Thoughtseize. You just trim a Blast on the draw, go down to 5. Seems okay. Okay, so we have a turn 3 Parker's Luck into Reveal Troll. I think no interaction on the draw. Just gotta be mulligan here. Okay, Looting plus Archon can be a keep. I think I'm supposed to keep the Troll over the Theater because I have the Parker's Luck. Or yeah, all of the all Arita at Magic Online is all Omen Path. Wait, Urza Saga, Basic Forest, Mox Opal. Are they Brood Scale? Inkmoth Nexus, they're Hardened Scales. And they've got an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So I guess we'll set up to Meltdown X equals 2 next turn. So if that's the plan, we'll probably just take a Rumble here. Goodbye, sweet Archon of Cruelty. You are so innocent. My sweet innocent Archon of Cruelty. I'll drop the lawsuit, opponent, if you concede. So we're going to lose our troll for the Parker Luck loop-de-doopy. The last card is just a second Ravager. Might be a fast third match. They do sack the Meltdown, and they let all this go away. Ravager mystery card in their hand. They also have this Inkmoth Nexus available, I guess. They decide to animate Inkmoth Nexus instead of casting the Ravager. Hard to imagine that that's correct, I guess. All right, yeah, we'll definitely want to draw that because that's going to be 6 damage this turn and 6 damage next turn. Their mana value is pretty low, like like most modern decks. So they reveal an Urza Saga, I reveal a Troll, and then they take 6, and then I can just deal 6 next turn and the turn after, and then hopefully I can keep this Bolt to deal the last bit of damage. Hand Hider, that was sus. I think it was just bad. Even if they know my hand, I think they're supposed to cast the Ravager. Like, this 1 point of damage doesn't matter. All right, they find a Walking Ballista, and then they play the Ravager. We draw an Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, I think we stick with the plan. Seems like it's going to get the job done. Parker Luck. So we'll deal you 6, and then we're going to do our best to not cast this Lightning Bolt, because if we hold it, we've got lethal. Yeah, I do think the 4th Cottage is good, especially because like you feel like a lot more comfortable looting them away, and you get to do this troll loop-de-doop. And you can build lists with only trolls. The card that puts up no shadows. I mean, shadow is 15. That's like that's like 2.5 trolls. It seems it's a lot of advantage. But you could maybe. All right, seems like we got there. I've been so excited to do this loop. Just troll 6 in these kind of games. Really fun. Yeah, we've won 2 games with Shadow. Okay, let's get a trophy prediction. Alright, on the play. Always a good sign. Try to find a Persist. Is there any other cute ways to put cards on top of your graveyard? There's no good ones. They banned Mystic Sanctuary. No Brainstorm. There's Brain Surge. Brain Surge is, I guess, the only other real option. There are bad ones, like Reclaim or Noxious Revival. They have kind of high mana value in their deck, so I do want to try to maybe keep my life total lower if possible. Alright, so a little bit scary if they hold up K command. Excellent news. If you have Gristlebrand and Frog under a Cauldron and Emperor Bones in play, you can make Enormous Emperor and put a billion creatures in play. No, you can't put a billion. You can only... Oh, I guess you can put the stuff you exiled of Frog in play. But we have played, Cauldron, Frog, Emperor decks with all those cards. You usually don't get to that point, right? They just didn't have K command, and I won. It was that easy. It was always that easy. I won the place, and they couldn't Myco Spawn Bajuka Bog me. Amazing. I'm so happy. They discarded Kozilek's return. So let's Thoughtseize for info before we bolt. A lot of info there. Easy breezy leaguey here. Bring in 4 Charmaws over 1 push and 3 bolts, I think. I might play a Spellbomb. Probably not. First bolt's probably okay. Maybe Parker. I think Parker's looks pretty good against them. I mean, they do have like a lot of high mana value stuff, but they don't really have. I guess they have library manipulation and K command. Let's get a draw. Let's draw a game. Keep this, I guess. Unka's playing Phyrexian Arena 2025. Well, 2025 Phyrexian Arena can deal them 15 the turn you play it. Which, is pretty nice. Alright, they Utopia Sprawl on red here. One, two. Yeah, so we have turn 4, 15 damage. Mono black Parker's like with K command. The problem with K command is you will use Cottage, which is like the only card that's good with this one. So they rumble. They don't hit a land off the rumble, notably. They do hit a talisman. They also mill a K return. Is Moxfield down or just me? Let me see if it's down for me. It's working for me still. This pause really makes me think that they... I mean, what did they just take the talisman? No, they took the Haragas. Okay. I guess they have a second land, right? Weird that they wouldn't take the talisman, though. Interesting draw step. Stop. Just gonna protect ourselves a little bit here. Keep a card on top. Yeah, whenever like they start the game with no draw step pause and then one just appears, I just like to throw the hand hider up for a second. But getting Myco spawned on turn 3 is gonna be kind of tough. They get a temple instead of a bog, which is interesting. The Haragas that we know about is imprinted under the lab now. Probably Swamp Cycle. I think Surveil might have been... I thought it was better than Swamp Cycle. Might have been worse, though. Does feel like a game 3 kind of game. Well, Chrysalis isn't that scary. We might draw this game, too. They were exiling the Crypt anyways? The Crypt. Oh, just Swamp Cycle off the Crypt, For some reason I thought we were talking about Bog. Weird. I guess didn't they have a Juka Bug game 1? I feel like I'm bugging a little bit. I guess I have a Witch's Cottage still, but let's go ahead and pack it into game 2. Just, on the play for game 3. You're thinking Amulet match 1? I guess so. I really thought they bogged me in game 1 here. I mean, if they just don't have bog in their deck, that's good news. Got kind of an interesting draw. I'm gonna keep on the play. Yeah, I guess I am just misremembering. Be right back. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and cycle this Troll of Khazad-dm. And don't usually love this line, but I think in this matchup it shines a lot where they have a really hard time killing the troll. And we get it underneath a possible K command too. Although if they just have turn 2 K commands, scry draw, that'll be scary. Set them for 5 down to 15, which is notably maybe Parker Luck range. I think we got to take the Myco spawn because they're very far away from casting these. I guess if they draw green, Rumble probably lets them cast Devour after. So maybe the Rumble and the Myco spawn are actually, I think they're actually not all that different. So we'll just take the Devour instead. So this can Keep chunking them. Thankfully, they just don't draw the mana. That's lucky. Let's graveyard the Witch's Cottage. Alright, I don't have a lot of action either, but let's go ahead and see if I surveil looting into the yard. No, but I'll keep this Bitter Triumph, of course. I don't have a lot of action. Get them all the way down to 10. Okay, we're 4-0. But kind of a weird league. Definitely got very lucky at many spots, like drawing Ashiok both games against Titan, and maybe we got lucky against the Goryo's player. We just YOLO the Calibrated Blast, and they were at 13. And who can even remember what happened after that? It was all a blur to me. Okay, we've got an opponent. They're here. They've kept 7 on the play. We're mulliganing on the draw, and we mulligan into a great hand. Or a good hand, at least. Maybe on the draw a little slow. Maybe second Titan opponent this league. No, it's Brood Scale. Well, I'd rather play against Brood Scale for sure. Now, if they just have a blade in their hand, we may have a fatal case of losing the die roll. There's my lightning bolt. I was wondering where that was. Ugin's Lab, Brood Scale. That's bad. Not as bad as a... it could have been worse. They could have just killed me, though. Any predictions for the PT? Biggest upset, top 3 decks, winning deck? I don't know. Obviously, like, Magic has so much variance. Like, predictions like this can feel a little silly to make sometimes. I think there will be a Titan deck at the top 8. I think there'll be 2 Boros. I think there'll be 1 Reanimator variant, either Goryo's or Grixis. I think there'll be 1 Blink variant, 1 Neoform variant, 1 Tron variant, and then 1 other is my top 8 prediction. I expect there to be no new brew that really surprises us. No Belcher. I guess Belcher might be my other slot there. I do think Belcher's gonna be good. You're going to be the best deck of the weekend. I don't know if people are ready for Belcher. It just is very defeatable. It's just an easy card to be great against, but an easy deck to be great against. Like all the decks I listed can't. Well, maybe an exception or two, but the majority of the decks I listed, they can just kind of choose to be great against Belcher if they want to be. Plus Shrieker. Pros seem to like Storm, don't they? Storm did really bad at the last Modern PT. Sometimes they like Storm. I'm going to discard Persist into the Shadow here. Energy truly is just a great choice for large tourney. It's just really consistent. To be fair, Nadu was also legal last Modern PT. No, it was. I mean, it was a fucking mess the whole last PT. I agree. But they're just, you know, they're like they're just notably like during the MH3 Pro Tour, Storm was a really popular choice. Channel Fireball played it, and it was like the worst performing deck for a long time. And it was like, you know, people are gonna just not want to repeat that experience for whatever that's worth. Ugh. Gonna be a lot of damage. Titan can't beat Belcher. This is just so not true. I mean, the matchup is definitely bad for Titan, but like you're main decking a bunch of Beseijus. It can't be that bad. Like if you're just on the play and you have a Beseiju, it can't be that bad. Maybe it is that bad. Maybe there's all the free counter magic and the fast combo is. You could play a Pithy Needle to get off your Urza Saga. It would help give you a lot of percentage points. So they rumble over a Brood Scale, which they cannot kill me with this turn. So they can grow this to be really big because of the blades. We'll just put a chump blocker here. So I can deal them 15 if they don't Soul Guide Lantern me. It's not going to be enough to kill them. This was pretty gnarly. I think with them having the Brood Scale, the Saga, let's just go to game 3 here. Or game 2. So down a game against Brood Scale. Usually a fun matchup. I want some number of Meltdown and Charmaw. I'm not sure how many. Seeing that they're on like Eldrazi Temples and there's a good chance they're playing Grove and Lab. Maybe the full 4 Charmaws are just the move, especially on the play. Yeah, if we had been on the play, would have likely been pretty smooth sailing. Maybe I want to move away from the Persist plan, actually. I wonder can I cut all of my Persists? Like, against the K-Command Urza Saga deck, it seems kind of tough. What if I sideboard like this? I think this looks good. Or maybe a little light on enablers for Blast, but we still have the Shadows and we still have the Trolls. Alright, I like it. Honestly, Fire Magic might be, we might even want to play a second Fire Magic. Do you think there's a significant shift in deck performance from being an open list? Maybe. To some extent, sure. Open deck lists, like, it does a lot of interesting things for a lot of decks. Like Titan gets to sideboard really, really effectively, which is super nice. I think typically like it matters less for game ones, but like also like I think it does help Boros a lot because a lot of times as a Boros gamer, you'll just have you'll keep a hand that has a lot of removal game 1, and then you'll lose because you kept a lot of removal game 1 in a matchup where your removal spells are pretty dead. But in open deck lists, you just know to mulligan those hands. Like that's kind of a simple, but it's like for the most part, like the open deck list thing just kind of favors format experience more than anything. Yeah, you typically you want just like a lot of 1-ofs in your sideboard anyways, but it's not how I like to build my decks when I'm brewing because I just like to brute force a bit. It's hard to have really delicate 1-of sideboards for brews, but I guess I take a Flesh Raker. Weird hand to see. Charmaw should be good against Double Grove, but the 1-ofs always get better in open decklist events. You have a favorite piece of art from Open Path? I have not looked at the art in Open Path basically at all. Okay, Stirrings into a Saga here. So I think let's just go ahead and Swamp Cycle for a basic Swamp, then Surveil. Keeping a Meltdown against the Saga could seem okay, but the problem is they just get Blade and then equip it before I can Meltdown, so let's just go ahead and put it on the bottom, I guess. There's a good chance what we're going to do this game is just try to like cast Duskborn Claim, hope to hit them for more than 5, and then hit them for 15 the following turn. Okay, we can hit them for 15 the following turn, so slamming it. Hopefully their mystery card is not Blade, but then they wouldn't have the ability. So their hand right now is Stirrings, Broodscale, Grove, mystery card. So I guess if their 2 mystery cards end up being, I guess they also get another card off the Duskborn's Claim, huh? Okay, Lightning Bolt is going to be 1 damage short from getting the job done. Damn it. I can deal my opponent 18. But I can also bolt the Brute Scale, which is good. They do know I have the bolt, though. Not really, since combo deck mulligans game 1 don't often change based on matchup. Not really, since I might be responding to this stuff. I mean, for the most part, like mulligans against combo decks, like you're just like if you're Boros, you get to mulligan to a more aggressive hand. That's kind of the biggest thing. I think Blood Moon gets better game one if you're playing Boros at open deck list. Like, I think that actually you should probably main deck Blood Moon if you're playing Boros in the open deck list field. Like, and then the first copy is like a pain for your opponent's fetching too. Pro Tour prep is just so different from normal stream prep. They reveal a K command here to the Stirrings. Then they play Ugin's Labyrinth. And then they have an imprintable for the Ugin's Labyrinth. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to be okay if my opponent commands to exile my Shadow. Why is Moon better than open deck list? Because if you have it in your opening hand, you get to know if it's going to be good or not. Not that complicated, right? All right, so they say I'll just take 15. They might be trying to use the K mana as like the infinite mana sink. And then also, like, if you have one moon in your Blood Moon in your deck and your opponent's like playing Blink and they're fetching, like, they might just mess themselves up because they're playing around the one of moon too much because it's just one copy. And then you can like loot it away with the Spyro too. Like a lot of times in Boros, you just have moon in your opening hand. You're like, well, this will either win me the game or lose me the game. And just open deck list, you just get to know. Oh yeah, they could have made me draw a card with K command. Better to exile the Shadow, right? But kind of cool. Kind of cool. All right, my opponent's at 4. I'm at 14. We have lethal next turn. They put a card on the bottom. I wonder if they haywire my Parker luck here. Maybe you top Troll for the repeatable 6s. Maybe. I felt like just like countering half the K command this turn and stopping them from making a construct seemed like the direction I wanted to take. So one thing is they know I have the bolt. They don't know I have the push. I'd be too scared of protection to not bolt the Brood Scale. I mean, I have 2 removal spells, and they have a second Brood Scale in their hands, so I need to make them sink the mana. Them sinking the mana is, I think, way more important, right? And like making them search for Blade. I really want to make my pet deck Dreadhorde Arcanist playable. I've been trying and failing for a while. Does Heroes Hangout change anything for the Rakdos variant? I mean, like, of course not. I think of course not. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound like the worst ever, but you could try it and then fail, maybe. Or maybe it'll be better than you think. It is a unique effect. You know what? It'll be great. Have to have a positive attitude. Be gone, Oko. No Elks here. Any incoming brew? What do you mean? They can go sack this to start the loop, then adapt. So just push. Although I guess with the counter zone, we could respond to that trigger. Maybe that was better. Maybe that was better. I was going to put on 4. We have Parker Luck. So we put a Shadow of Mortality on the top of our deck with Witch's Cottage, and then we dealt them 15. And we're about to do it again. Oh, I'm like, wait, did I not discard it? But I just drew another one. Watch this. Any incoming brew? Incoming brew, baby. Any backup brews are working? I got 7 new decks posted to the Mox Field, and many more on their way. Thankfully, we're at 14, so we wouldn't die to a revealed Emrakul, I guess. Many more on the way, of course. I think I'm going to play second Fire Magic over third Meltdown. What do you think would be the most played highest win rate? I think Titan will have the highest win rate. Might be wrong about that, but that's my prediction. I think most played will be Boros. Might be wrong about that, but I just got to be the most popular. I think we can keep this on the draw. It's a little dopey. You didn't even have to Shadow of Mortality inside the bolt. Well, I might have revealed the land to the Parker Luck, right? But someone in chat was confused, so I had to show him how the deck worked. You Obliterating Titan yesterday definitely set the ban on Titan at least 6 months. The thing is, they just could have won. They just got this game won. They just could have played around subtlety. If they had a second T-West, they could have. Is there a command for keeping these wonky decks honest? I don't know if there is. I don't know any of the commands. I know Fran, and I know. I might only know Fran. I don't know the commands in the chat. Okay, I do know Toxic. Oh, and then I know, is it Invincible? I think I know Invincible. Okay, I know Party. Okay, I know maybe I know a few. Okay, they bolted 5 and they kept a Devourer, which is interesting. Titan does not run 2 T-West. Okay, then maybe they couldn't have played around it. So they say no to a Eldrazi Temple, they say no to a Lantern, they say no to a Ghost Court, and no to a Lab. So it's very odd that they wouldn't take the Lantern. Maybe they have realized that I've boarded out my Fleshraker. Ugh, I guess they're on the mulligan. Maybe it's not gonna be that good. But maybe they've realized I've boarded out my Persist package. Okay, that's a little bit of value for the future blast, maybe. I'm kind of interested, or I don't really mind if I let them keep the Saga, because the Saga will go away. Ugh. Okay, I did board in an extra Fire Magic. That might be a game-winning card. Scary. They have a Devourer, and they've got 2 mystery cards. I've got to keep this. Or I get to keep this, I don't know. We can put them to 1 life next turn. So I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and Charmaw the Temple. And then maybe we just go like Meltdown next turn and then 15 them the following turn. Or maybe we'll play Spiral. See what they get here. They get a blade. They equip a blade to the Fleshraker. And then they pass the turn. Let's cast Faithless Looting. Looks like I'm going to be 1. That's right, 1 damage short of killing my opponent this turn. Do you ever bolt spawn? I think it's better to bolt the equipped Fleshraker, but it could be a conversation. Okay, that's true. We could lose if their top card is an Emrakul. Okay, so we would draw if their top card is an Emrakul. So believers don't feel too comfortable yet. Do we not kill them? Claim they would go to 1. We have 4 plus 15, which is 19. And they don't play to their out of revealing Emrakul to the claims. And we trophy our first league with Parker Luck. Nice. I guess they didn't have a drum. Oof, cool. So that's exciting. I do think the deck looks really good. Maybe we could run this in a challenge on Friday. Pretty exciting. I mean, we also got like really lucky the whole league. But I mean I think we got extra lucky. I'll even say for whatever your evaluations are. But that was cool. So nice to get a trophy. Cool. It's just like this build feels so revived with like this being a better calendar.